Welcome on back, everybody, to a special episode of Streaming with the Mouse, where today we are talking about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This is not going to be all praise, though. We have a special guest. We'll talk about him in a little bit. Sit back, relax. This is Streaming with the Mouse. Welcome back to everybody to episode Who Knows of Streaming with the Mouse. It's a nice special episode. We're putting this one in the can, so by the time Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness does come out on Disney+, this podcast is coming to you. My name's Cam Ramos. Joining me, as always, is the other Doctor Strange to my Doctor Strange, Cliff. Cliff, say hello to the nice people.
Hello, everyone. We actually have 3 Doctor Stranges.
Well, no, this guy over here. We got a special guest.
Okay.
We got Colin back, because Cliff and I talked some shit last week about you. Or was it 2 weeks ago?
I listened. I heard all of it.
Yeah, about your opinion. So, for everybody, Cliff, Colin, and I, good friends, went to see Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness together. Cliff sat to my left, Colin to Cliff's left, and after the movie ended, right before the end credit scenes, I looked over, I saw Cliff's face all smiling, happy, and I looked over at Colin Jepson's face, and I saw a face I've not seen since December 14th, 2017, and that was the day that The Last Jedi came out, and I knew right away, oh, Colin hated that movie. Absolutely just did not like it. So, Colin, we brought you on today because you know me. I talk sunshine and rainbows about everything. I'll take the best of everything. I'm a big Last Jedi fan, so what does that say about me? But we're going to do a top 5 and some criticism of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So the way we'll do this is I'll give mine 5. Colin will give his 5th criticism. Cliff will go with his 5 best thing, and we'll go from there. But, Colin, welcome to the show. Happy to have you, my friend, even though I think we're going to get a little argumentative here.
Hey, it's great to be on. I dressed up for the occasion because you called in expertise, and expertise is arriving, and he's coming, ready to go, ready to fight with either one of you. It really doesn't matter.
If I'm being honest, this is a huge push, Cliff, for our YouTube channel, because, you got to see how good this kid looks right now. This kid's getting ready for a wedding eventually. He looks good. And, if this is the level he's coming at with the wedding, good shape. Really good shape.
For my wedding, everything's already been picked out for me, so I really don't have any flash.
Fair. Very fair.
But I will say, I do have one criticism. That will be my 5. So I'm going to be playing both sides of the ball here. So there is going to be both sides of the ball because, like Colin, okay, I have also seen this movie twice. Cam, have you seen it twice?
Hold on. I've seen it 3 times.
Oh, you've seen it 3 times now.
Yeah,
oh,
I had to go see it again once I knew I was definitely coming on this just to verify some things.
Very fair. I've only seen it once still because I just haven't had time with Disney and vacation and stuff. But we'll get to it. So should I start off with my 5 favorite thing about this?
Let's start off.
This is probably the first time I think we've done this, but maybe we did for Bad Batch, but the director, Sam Raimi, Sam Raimi's fingerprints put every single place in this movie. I'm a big fan of the Spider-Man trilogy, even that last third one, which I know sucked, but at the time I thought was cool because I was a little dumb kid. It was awesome. His fingerprints were in it. This was one of the most unique directing styles, I thought, and editing styles of a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. I think between this and maybe Eternals, you could definitely tell who had their fingerprints on this. So Sam Raimi's my number 5. I thought he did a fantastic job with the way that he told the story through the visual aspects of things, as well as the rest of his team. So that's my number 5 favorite thing about this movie, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Cole, what do you got to complain about?
I guess I'll go off of that. It was hard for me to narrow this list down, but 5. I guess we can go with Sam Raimi. It definitely, out of all of the Marvel movies, this one felt the least like a Marvel movie. And I get it, is a horror genre, gore. It's just the whole ebb and flow of the whole thing. You're not sitting there feeling like, wow, this is I feel like I'm in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. To me, and to others I've spoke with, that was the same kind of general vibe, other than, you got Cam, who no matter what, if there's an MCU thing, I'm feeling the vibe. But, that, to me, I guess that hits in my top 5 if we're going to go with Sam Raimi. So, that's where I'm at.
Now, I'll say this, Colin. I agree with you. It did not feel like a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, and that's what I think I loved about it, because I think the biggest complaint that non-Marvel fans have is it's cookie cutter, everything's the same. I like that it was different. I thought it was a really cool risk for it. But I think the other thing, too, is I like the idea of the different aspects of the Marvel Cinematic Universe having their own thing. If you have all the magic kind of style movies. So I'm thinking like Doctor Strange, WandaVision, all those kind of characters have one style, and the cosmic people have like this very funny kind of style where you have like Guardians and Thor, and then you have the more centralized. I think that'd be a cool way if they divvied it up a little bit in the future. I don't think they will, but just a cool thing. But I hear you. As some people, the style wasn't for them.
Going off that, like if you're going to tie it in with like different aspects of it, like you've got your artsy, crazy mystic arts, you got your cosmic, and then you get your regular world people. How do you tie it all in together when it comes time to having to blend them together? That's like I think I really appreciated about basically the whole first few phases. It's like everything blended in together, and I get it. Like this, we are branching out to being such a we're branching out to a multi-universe, the multiverse, but like we're still in the same cinematic universe in a sense. So like looking forward, who knows? I could be wrong. How are you going to blend it all together if it's going to look and feel like this? Like there's a feel in all these movies that you have, whether they look the same or they don't. This one I think feels like it missed the mark.
Sure, I hear that.
I hear that. I respect your opinion, and I understand that you're wrong. No, I think, and I'll go into my 5 in a second, but you bring up a good point. How do you blend this now multiverse? They did interview Kevin Feige where he said, and he explained it, and it should be explained better, but that's a thing where we only know of He Who Remains because we have watched Loki. No one else knows Loki exists, including in the Thor trailer where we know when Thor's clothes get wished away, he has a ripped Loki on his back, tattoo on his back. Kevin Feige at the Doctor Strange premiere actually contributed to a point to a newscaster saying, we know that Sylvie made a choice to kill He Who Remains, which now that He Who Remains is killed, was not able to correct the timeline, letting Doctor Strange's spell in No Way Home go wrong. So if He Who Remained was still alive, that spell would not have gone wrong, and everyone would have it would have been fine. And because of that, it shook up the multiverse, and then in Doctor Strange, the multiverse is included on anymore. So if you watched Loki, and obviously Kevin Feige explaining that it is working in continuity, it makes sense. But we have not been told that because we're still waiting to hear more about Kang. So that to me made me feel better. But my number 5 and my biggest complaint is the writing. When on the second rewatch, I liked the plot. I will say I liked the plot, and that'll be a conversation later on. But I'm very surprised because Sam Raimi was not the writer. It was Michael Waldron who did Loki, and I was very surprised to see the writing go from Loki to Doctor Strange. And I was very surprised. The way I saw it on the second rewatch it was A+ acting with like a C- script. And that to me, you have these great actors. You have the best actors currently in the MCU in Doctor Strange acting right now, and they are able to elevate a mediocre script. And I was just listening to them, like some of these lines just don't sound like dialogue. I mean, I know, Colin, that was one of your complaints when we first saw it, but like I was reading more up and I'm like, wow, this really, like, some of it doesn't flow or sound real, but it was elevated by the acting, which is really a huge, to me, this was, the acting was a really big part of, obviously it's a movie, but the acting really was incredible for this movie.
Yeah, and I'll say this, I love this movie, I really did. I think part of that is a little bit blinded because of how much I love WandaVision. So, and I'll preface that. I do recognize this movie has its faults, and I do think the script is one of those. Colin has something to say. What is it? What's wrong?
I'm going to wait, just because you said WandaVision, I'm going to wait until I can get to my points, because I love WandaVision, and I love Loki. Like, unbelievable. A lot of people don't rewatch it, like rewatch the shows just because like they're like, oh, it's unrewatchable. I've like watched WandaVision like 6 times.
Yeah.
And that's why this is also like maybe the bar has been set so low after this movie because of how great WandaVision was, and then we get this.
Fair. That's fair. Should I go with my number 4 then?
Yes, sir.
All right, my number 4 is a combination. So it's a character and an actress. I'm going to combine it together, but it's Xochitl Gomez, who played America Chavez. Really cool character introduction to the MCU. I really dug her powers. I do read the comics, but America Chavez isn't a character I really have So it was really cool. I thought Joshi was awesome. It seems like she's going to be in the rest of the MCU. I thought she was really great, and I'm excited to see how she can help influence things in the future. Like, if they do a Young Avengers, how does she play a role in that? Like, we do know Quantum Mania is obviously coming. We know Kang is going to be the big bad in that. So if you have a multiversal kind of storyline where you have this multiversal villain coming in with Kang, it makes sense to have America Chavez hopefully in that. It's to be seen if she is going to be. But really good introduction. I really liked her character. It's been cool seeing some people already cosplay as her. I've already seen the last couple of weeks on Instagram and whatnot. Also, representation is something Cliff and I always talk about, is really important. So to have that in the MCU and to have her have two moms, even though it's a minor thing, it helps a little bit, I think. So I thought that was really cool. So America Chavez is my number 4 reason of why I like this movie.
Yeah, I got nothing to say against that. I thought she was pretty cool.
I liked her.
We're gonna see what she does going forward.
Well,
real quick
setting
too.
up the Young Avengers. That's
for sure.
a given.
Real quick too. I was nervous about the star blasting, like multiversal gate thing, of how that was. It actually looked really cool. I thought they did all that really cool. I thought that was awesome.
And that's her power. It's literally star-shaped power.
Yeah.
So, I'm ready. What's number 4, Colin?
All right. I guess I'll just hit this one. This movie, I think part of the reason why I have trouble with it and a lot of other people have trouble with it, the buildup for it was so high. The buildup for this, they were like putting it, I'm not going to say Endgame because that's unattainable and it shouldn't have been there, but like it was up there for, I feel like we've been hearing about this movie since Endgame. I feel like you saw it all over Monday Night Football. You saw it all over once it came out and there started being trailers, boom, after everybody's talking about it, and I just like, I said it coming out of the theater, it was a good movie. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it.
Well, that's
and
good.
I think maybe part of it was because of the buildup. The buildup was just so high for this movie, and I think it just didn't reach the amount that they built it up to.
And I think that's a great point, Colin, because I don't think it reached the point that it was advertised to. And that, again, I think that's something Cliff and I talk about ourselves, is like speculating responsibly, right? And it's something I do not do really well. I speculate everything and then have my hopes and dreams crushed, kind of thing, when what I think is going to happen or what I want to happen doesn't happen. But I think with this, I think the level is so high because you have the word multiverse in it, right? And that was so exciting for everybody. Then you had No Way Home, and I think that put it, like, this was my most looking forward to movie of the year. It actually beat Batman for me, which before No Way Home I would have said Batman was my most anticipated movie of the year. This leveled up to that after watching No Way Home because of how well that was done. I agree, definitely did not live up to the hype. I still loved it, but it didn't live up to the hype level that I was putting it at.
Yes and no.
We did get some awesome things. I mean, let's talk about the Illuminati. We got some awesome freaking things in this
I'm
movie.
glad we're not hyping up Thor the way we're excited for Thor. The way the way that the internet hyped up Multiverse of Madness, and I think
It wasn't just the internet.
Colin, you are correct. Colin, you are correct. It was
Disney
extremely
hyped
hyped up. However, yes, you are correct. You are correct. However, the fact that the people so hell bent on oh my god, Tom Cruise is in this. He is superior Iron Man. Look at this. We see this face. It's Tom Cruise. Can you not tell? And I'm like, that is obviously Miss Marvel. I'm like, that is obviously the actress. And it's, to me, that was I think we're getting to a point where yes, I want a good movie. I don't care at this point if you give me a 2-second view of Jim from The Office. I want to see the story. I'm not going to the movies to watch I can't even think of the name, the cameos. They were great. Like Cam said, these cameos were great. But I feel like at this point we're getting too hyped for, oh my god, we're setting 5 seconds up for 20 years into the future. And I'm like, I don't care about that. I want to watch the movie in the now. And that's going to be my number 4. I'm gonna slide into the spotlight here. My number 4 is, this is one of the first movies in a long time in Marvel that we didn't have to worry about what's next. We didn't have to worry. That's what the end credit scenes are for. What's coming next is that. When we got the Thanos, the Thanos drop at the end of the first Avengers movie, that was oh my god, this is coming later. But like, it keeps setting up where it's like, oh, here's Hingle McCringleberry for 3 seconds. Get ready for his movie that's announced 2 minutes after the movie ends. I'm glad we just stuck to Doctor Strange. Like, yeah, we got a couple mentions of Spider-Man. They mentioned Hawkeye. They did talk about it. We saw the Illuminati, but they set up a lot of things without having to say them. And that's what I liked. Like seeing Clea in the end credit scene. If you know who she is, you know what's coming next for Doctor Strange. And that's, like, we stayed in the now for the entirety of the movie. And that's what I really liked at number 4.
Yeah, I mean, just a quick comment off that. After I saw it again and again, I sat back and I did a little self-reflection, Cam. I did that.
Look at you, buddy. Growth, baby. Love it.
I sat there and I was like, you know what? I get we already got, and this was part of this is another point I have, but we already got the whole origin stories and that's what built the first part of the whole MCU, right? All these origin stories into a bigger picture. And now it's, like Cliff said, we're all sitting here like, what's next? What's next? You can't always have a movie building into what's next. Sometimes, like you said, it's got to be in the now. Sometimes a movie can be just for a movie, and you throw little slide pieces in there, and then all of a sudden, okay, that movie stands alone by itself. But the 2, 3, 4 scenes that this person was in, that was the small part of building forward, and that's about it. Which, I mean, it can be. Like, I mean, Iron Man was like that. Captain America, I mean, you knew what was going forward with it. But, like, now you're at the point where Doctor Strange already has an origin story. What would have been next for him, too? And I had to sit there and be like, I don't really know what would have been next without having to do the whole big next craziness. So I guess I can accept that.
There.
Look at you. Look at that growth. Look at that.
All right.
That's about nice as I can be.
My number 3, we're going to get to it, is, I mean, Cliff, if you didn't have money on this, Colin, you too, if you didn't have money that this person is going to be on my list, then I don't know what the hell's wrong with you. But mine is Elizabeth Olsen. Stole the show for me. Oh, Colin, I am interested to see what your thought. I thought she was phenomenal in this. I obviously wanted to give her every Emmy in the entire world during WandaVision. She was awesome in this. She was so evil. The Darkhold just took such a different character than what she was in WandaVision at the end of it. Take the end credit scene out of it. But I thought she was able to play a completely different version of Wanda, which I think was earned because of how much... I think the script could have done a better job really hyping up how powerful that Darkhold was to, like, really screw with her mentally. But knowing, as a comic book fan, how powerful the Darkhold is and what that can do to you, I thought she killed it with this performance. She was evil. Just everything about it. And for this to be a horror light movie in the MCU, I thought she was the perfect villain for it. I was glad there wasn't another villain. There was no Nightmare or anything like that. It was just Scarlet Witch being taken over by the most dangerous spellbook in the entire multiverse. I thought it was great. I loved how she could be crazy, and I'll talk about this in a little bit, obviously, but just absolutely F's up the Illuminati 1 minute and then crying seeing her kids. Just a really good dichotomy there. So that's my number 3 is Lizzie Olsen stole the show, in my opinion.
Oh boy, I'm scared.
Here we go.
I'm scared for this.
Buckle in, everybody.
And I'm ready to.
Because you brought her up, like,
I'm ready to tag
this was my
team
number
in.
1 gripe with this whole movie.
Hold on. Tagging him in with me or him?
With you.
Oh, thank God. I was like, Cliff.
Yeah, no, this was my number 1 gripe about it, is they did Wanda so dirty. This movie destroyed Wanda. She's great as a villain. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Love that.
Yes.
But from what we saw her from WandaVision, where she was just dealing with grief, she went through the 5 stages of grief and the emotions, and then all of a sudden she gets the Darkhold. Cool. If you're not a comic book person, then you have no idea what that really is and how powerful it is, other than what you saw from WandaVision. And if you didn't watch WandaVision, too bad. But you have her going from, she went there because she had to do absolute self-centered focus on herself, trap a bunch of people in a town in WandaVision, and try to get over the fact that Vision's gone. And like she said in this movie, basically for nothing. He didn't have to die in her head. She gets over that and realizes, like, all the bad things that she was doing to others in there in Westview. She also comes to terms with the fact that her kids weren't real. whether she knows about White Vision being out there or not, she gets the Darkhold, and you hear the kids in the end credit scene of WandaVision where they're like, help us, save us. Okay, great. Now all of a sudden, she's so crazy, her motive is, instead of, the love of my life is Vision, but no, I'm going to start going through the other multiverses and try to steal the kids that aren't my kids. And that's her motive through the whole movie. Instead of like, why don't I see, I'm so powerful, why don't I see if Vision's out there somewhere else? Maybe I can be happy with Vision. No, I'm going to go, and then maybe we can create kids. We can do it all again. And then I'm starting
to this is a PG podcast?
Okay. Then I'm starting to sit there and think, wait a second. Is Billy and Tom, everyone's like, oh, well, she had her kids in the I got into a fight with a 12-year-old about this.
Of course you did.
And they're like, no, they're real. I was like, well, we just heard that dreams are other yous. So did she create them out of her head originally, or did she create them because she's already seen them with another Wanda in another universe who actually has kids? Case in point, the ones she's trying to steal, who aren't her kids. And all of a sudden they're just like, yeah, that's her motives. She's just a crazy, angry, we're going to feel bad for her. Even though we just had a whole show showing her deal with the sort of grief and the emotions. It was a phenomenal show. And we made Wanda so awesome. And then we're just going to be like, oh, yeah, but oh, by the way, she's just been so corrupt now. She's just going to go steal kids. Not care about the man she loved. No, we're just going to go have him steal kids from another universe and destroy so many things on the back. I thought it was a weak motive for such an awesome, cool character. And obviously she's not dead, so we'll see her come back. She'll have a redemption arc of some sort. But that to me, like, you were in love with Vision. That's why you created the whole hex, was because you were so upset with the no Vision, and you're just like, these fake kids I made up. And now all of a sudden I'm just like, yep, I'm gonna tear down the multiverse to get these freaking kids instead of the absolute man I loved. No, don't care about Vision anymore.
Cliff,
do you yield the floor?
Yeah, go for it. I'm done.
Cliff, real quick.
I'm back to 2017 SGA all over this place, kid.
Cliff, to quote one of my favorite Star Wars characters ever, Poe Dameron, you talk first, I talk first, what do you want to do?
I'll talk first. So my number 3 is Wanda as well, and not, I mean, obviously I can talk about the actors. I'm gonna refrain from the actors in this. I gave them their shout out in number 5, but I understand that I watch, like, I don't watch Marvel to like give it under like the film bro lens. I watch Marvel because I enjoy it. They really spelled out the Darkhold so many times, and like I was like, the first time I'm like, maybe they didn't like explain it well enough, blah 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 blah. And then I watched it the second time, and I'm like, I'm going in like, my main look right now is to see how well they explained the Darkhold. They didn't explain exactly what the Darkhold was itself, but they stated on multiple times, Wanda has the Darkhold and the Darkhold has her. Blah, blah, blah. And you kept seeing all these instances of how much the Darkhold corrupts. And this was a simple case of good versus evil, because they were like, oh, you have the Darkhold, which is the Book of the Damned. Oh, but then you have the evil book. Oh, and you have the Book of Visanti, which is the good, like the great book, this beautiful book, blah, blah, blah. They spelled it out that Wanda was not Wanda. She was under... That
makes me feel good, Cliff, because I think the first time too...
That's so weak.
But that's how it is in the comics, Claw.
No,
that's how it is.
Really, though. She's
oh, yes, it is.
No, not really. She's manipulated so many times in the comics, and that's why she's done it. The Darkhold doesn't just manipulate her in terms of, oh yeah, Wanda, we're gonna just take over your...
Oh, it definitely does. Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
In the MCU, no way. She's not sitting there after she just went through all this crap with seeing how bad Agatha was and tormented her, and she's like, yep, I'm just gonna fall into that exact same trap and do the exact same stuff that I...
But she would.
I grew out of.
But she would, because she was reading the Darkhold at a very vulnerable time. You just talked about it. At the end of WandaVision, she had lost Vision. She didn't know that White Vision survived.
People hate her.
And she didn't know that her vision unlocked the memories of what for White Vision. So she doesn't know White Vision exists. I do wish we saw White Vision at least in the end credit scene. I will agree with you on that. But the Darkhold knew she was in a vulnerable state. She literally just captured a town. The world hates her. She's afraid the Avengers are going to come and lock her up again, like what Tony did in Civil War. There's all these things that she was just so vulnerable to. And obviously the Darkhold said, oh, this is the Scarlet Witch. This is the book. The Darkhold is the book for the Scarlet Witch. This book is going to corrupt her and give her what she so desperately wants right now.
Yeah, and Colin, I think, like you kept saying, her motivation was to steal the kids. That wasn't her motivation. I think her motivation is very important in this. She was doing the Darkhold because she doesn't want to steal Billy and Tommy. Like Cliff said, everybody in this universe hates her. She's looked to as the bad guy at this point. She wants to go to a different multiverse and get a fresh start while also having her kids. So I think that's important, where it's like, listen, I don't want to cause more damage. I just want to go into this other universe and start fresh, but have my kids because they were the love of my life for this 2-week period, basically.
So they'd have to just go to another multiverse. Well, are we just going to say a brand new multiverse, or a multiverse where she's going to have to go slaughter her other Wanda and steal the kids, or...
But
I didn't say that wasn't bad. That's bad to do.
That's also like that's a weak motive for
America asked her. America asked her that too. It says, "What are you going to do with the Wanda in that universe?" And you could see the conflict in her face. Like,
correct.
I didn't think of this.
Correct.
I'm in too deep. Colin,
yes.
Come on. You know,
you guys, okay. Just because Elizabeth Olsen did such a great job with with bad writing and bad motives means that it's like, all right, we're going to accept it. It's fine, which we're going to have to accept it. I'm going to swallow it, but it's still a weak motive for somebody who is so powerful, lustful over a person, well, synthezoid person, a vision. And all of a sudden, it's just like, yep, these two kids, I'm going to go start doing terrible things for them.
The Darkhold.
But that's the thing, Colin.
The Darkhold.
It's the book.
It's
the Darkhold.
We're gonna just blame the book. Then if she walks out,
exactly.
Yes, I'm gonna blame the book. Yes,
she's blameless.
Then they wasted a giant, awesome villain on a pretty crappy movie.
But she's not gonna be a villain. She might be an anti-hero going forward. But the Darkhold made Doctor Strange in whatever the Illuminati universe is strong enough to defeat Thanos with the gauntlet. And then also collapse an entire universe somewhere else. The other Doctor Strange, the literal evil Doctor Strange, or Darkhold Strange, whatever they call him, was literally corrupted to the point where he lost Christine and destroyed his universe.
Correct.
And
it's all out of love.
And that's Doctor Strange.
Yeah, well, I mean, Doctor Strange is going after Christine because he's in love with her.
No, but I'm saying Doctor Strange is weaker than Wanda, and look at how strong Doctor Strange was made by the Darkhold.
Are we not convinced that the two Doctor Stranges from the Illuminati universe and this one aren't the two that fought each other? Because this Doctor Strange said that he lost, and that could have been the incursion point. So
maybe.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm just saying. Like, you're trying these in. Like, that could probably be it. So you're looking at one Doctor Strange with the Darkhold, not as strong as the other Doctor Strange with the Darkhold.
And even the Doctor Strange with the Darkhold, our Doctor Strange is stronger than them. So, I get what you're saying.
This is good. I like this. I like having the dissenting voices.
Yes.
All right. Where are we at? You went with your 3, so it's my 2?
Your number 2.
Because you just did yours.
That was my number 3. It was defending Wanda.
My number 2 is Marvel not holding your hand. Did they hold your hand in some points? Sure, with the Darkhold stuff, but I love that we didn't have to have a complete 10-minute monologue about the events of WandaVision. I love because I've always stated, this is obviously a Disney Plus podcast, right? We love Disney Plus. We love the content that comes to it. This stuff is important. You can't just not buy a Disney Plus subscription at this point and just go watch the Marvel Cinematic movies. Are there some things that you could probably get away with? You could probably get away with Moon Knight right now. I bet you Miss Marvel, you can get away with that. But you can't, actually, because you have the Marvels coming out in later this year or early next year. So I like that you had to have known who's Billy, who's Tommy, why is this so important. You had the Westview house still in there, too. So I like that they didn't hold your hand as far as the first real transition from the Disney Plus content on MCU to the actual cinematic release content from MCU. I thought that was awesome that they didn't hold your hand. I like that it still connects and that they expect that you watch that 8-episode, 9-episode show.
Okay. I agree. That's a good.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yes.
We shouldn't have to walk through anybody.
Correct.
Fine. Or at this point, we're so many hours in, you shouldn't have to sit there and be like, all right, well, sorry you missed hours 30 through 37. That's your fault.
Right.
All right. I guess my next point, because now it's all jumbled. I know this was a Doctor Strange movie, but I just don't think there was not a really good character arc for Steven.
I
agree. I would disagree until the end.
With the end credit scene?
Yes.
I agree. That end credit scene ruins the whole arc. I agree.
The arc.
Yes,
I mean,
correct.
You're saying, like, we kind of already, I guess his whole arc this year is he's just got to be the one to not hold the knife anymore. Okay. So then he accepts, because of that line, which we heard about 1,000 times in the movie, he accepts Wong Sorcerer Supreme. I'm never going to have Christine. Wanda is powerful. Hopefully she's dead. American Chavez has powers that in another universe or another me, takes. I'm different than everybody else. I've got to accept that. Let's just move forward. Okay, cool. I thought we kind of already addressed the fact that he's going to have to make hard choices and accept it for everybody in his first movie. And then this is just kind of spinning off of, do you have to make the hard choice? Do you have to do that for others? What are you doing for yourself? Okay. I mean, we get Christine again. I'm hopefully now with the end credit scene going forward, he's going to have his next movie's got to be off the charts, because we're going to what looked like the Dark Dimension.
His next movie is going to be actually facing Dormammu.
Are we sure?
Because Clea is the sorcerer. Clea is the sorcerer supreme of the wherever Dormammu
Dark
is.
Dimension.
The Dark Dimension, and she is Dormammu's niece.
Yep.
And badass girlfriend.
But all she says, all we get from her is, you created, or there's an incursion created. That
What if he has caused an incursion with the Dark Dimension?
But what if he
bringing Dormammu back?
What if he caused an incursion in his own dimension?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Not with the Dark Dimension at all. Like, she's taking him to the Dark Dimension so that she can show him all this stuff.
That would be cool also. There's so many options.
Because when Reed Richards is telling him, it's not so much what you
Time
do
out.
in that dimension.
Reed Richards is in this movie? Just kidding. Sorry.
Fantastic joke.
Sorry.
Wow, that was good. I guess I spoiled it. He explains, it's the footprint you leave, but also how long your footprint is in there. So, could all the time he was away from his own dimension leave a lasting footprint for an incursion event in his own dimension, 616 right now? And
Even
she's
worse.
taking him from there.
Even worse.
I can avoid it.
I think it's when Christine fixed his cape with Illuminati Strange's cape.
Yep.
And he brought this matter back to 616.
Now,
yes.
is Illuminati Strange, his cape, since it's blue, is it the same material that the Fantastic Four, Reed Richards, created for the Fantastic Four suits?
I'd say it'd be the same cape that he wears in our universe. It's just blue instead of red. Like how,
but I mean, there's special material to their suits that can stretch, can go invisible, can catch on fire.
Maybe.
They might just have Edna mode. Like, that just might be a thing.
Okay, maybe. I thought it was a special technology he created.
I was trying to make an Incredibles joke, but that's fine.
But no, that's a good point. I think Doctor Strange 3 is going to be really good. I'm very excited for Doctor Strange 3. But my number 2 is going with what Cam talked about earlier, America Chavez. I'm really enjoying going in the direction of Young Avengers. I thought she was very fun. The actress is hilarious. She's very fun. She's handled... I mean, people are awful. We know this. The internet's evil. She's handled it really well. And she was just a fun character. Yes, America was a plot device. She wasn't like a full... she was more a plot device than a character in this movie. But I think she really made the most of her screen time. And... seeing what she does, seeing she's going to be also trained as a sorcerer, I just really liked the arc, and I think there's just so many directions to go, and the humor definitely fits with like Haley Steinfeld's Kate Bishop. Like, she's gonna fit well in what they're making. We know that Miss Marvel has good reviews so far from the early screenings, so it seems like they're building a team together that was really gonna work well together, comedic wise, and the Young Avengers will be a good supplement. And I will think that's a good way to get more kids involved. Like, oh, this is literally someone my age that I can watch be a superhero.
Good point.
I know you don't have any complaints, Colin, about America.
Yeah, no, I thought she was fine. I like the actress. She was really good. She was funny.
All right. Should I give my number one? And I do have 2 complaints that I want to get to.
Ooh.
They're very minor. My number one is everything about the Illuminati part. I have watched a TikTok specifically. It's 2 seconds long. It says the smartest man in the universe, Reed Richards, and it's John Krasinski coming up. I've watched that clip no less than 150 times because that got me so hyped because I didn't think they were gonna bring Mr. Fantastic into this. I kind of was hoping because it is the Illuminati, he's a big part of it. But the fact that it was actually John Krasinski is awesome. Now, I did see there were some rumors that the guy from James Bond was supposed to be it, but then he had COVID concerns.
Daniel Craig would have been so good. That
would
have been
so
I don't care.
So good.
I wanted John Krasinski. Daniel Craig can do the Fantastic Four movie. That's fine. I just wanted one universe story where John Krasinski was Mr. Fantastic. That was incredible. I was so pumped about everything about that. My real number one is just Wanda just get out of here, Illuminati. It was shocking. The Black Bolt death, I went, oh, out loud at the movies, as you guys heard. The Mr. Fantastic death was okay. Cutting Haley Steinfeld, I almost said Captain America.
Haley Atwell.
What'd I say?
You said Haley Steinfeld. Wrong Haley.
Sorry. But cutting her in half was awesome. Just pulverizing that Miss Marvel. What she did to Charles Xavier, also as shocking as what she did to Black Bolt. That was so cool as a comic book fan, as a person who loves this multi-universal stories, that you even have the same actor from that. Really, really cannot stress enough how crappy that show was. To have him come in as Black Bolt was awesome, and it was awesome. But that whole fight scene, I cannot wait for this movie to come on Disney Plus, which it is right now if you're listening to this, because by the time we drop this, I'm gonna watch that scene over and over and over. Wanda just saying, "Next person up, let's go, baby. I got you. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead, and you're dead." Can't wait.
I mean, this is gonna be my number one, but I'll talk on.
Obviously, it's the best part.
Hold on. Was that your number one?
That's my number one part of this movie. Is everything about that.
Because you talked about how you had these 2 complaints, and then all of a sudden.
No, I have 2 complaints. I do.
I was like, that was
do
your
you want me to give them now, or you want me to give them at the end?
Let's hear the complaints. Let's switch it up.
I was just like, that's the complaint.
No, my do I have 3?
Yeah,
no, I have 2.
Just go for it.
My number 1 complaint is I hate that the MCU is officially Earth 616. I hate that. I give DC a lot of crap. One thing that they did do is like their prime universe for the comic books is not the same as those crappy CW shows, minus Green Arrow and Flash are awesome. But I was really disappointed that they went with 616. I wish 616 was still the main comic book line. I think this would have been cool if it was a different Earth. Not the biggest complaint, but as a comic book fan, I wish it was that there could have been a universe where the comic books were separate. My second complaint, it's my honorable mention for good, is I thought the CGI was awesome. The third eye looked terrible on Doctor Strange. I thought it looked so crappy. That I was like, oh, that took me out of it a little bit to remember that this is like a movie. Those are my 2 complaints.
I mean, the opening running scene CGI was quite terrible. And then if you get the chance, there's a video going on about the girl who plays America Chavez running on the green screen.
Yes,
and it's so painful to watch her run because I noticed it in the film. Like,
I think she's posted
clearly not full. Yeah, I think she did too. She's full blown not running, and you can tell in like a terrible jump. And then all of a sudden you see it in green screen. You're like, yep, it's even worse than I thought in the movie. But other than that, like, I don't care about CGI and stuff like that.
I will defend her. I will defend her. She is a minor, and there are laws that protect minors, actors that are minors, much more. in stunts and stuff like that. So
Okay,
good
so
on her for doing her own stunts, but she does have body doubles that could have changed it a little.
Can they speed up the film though? Maybe it'll make it look faster. It might be
Was
a chunkier
Boba Fett?
run, but a little faster.
How about a nice spin?
Yeah.
What's your number one? What is your number? Well, you gave your number one.
Yeah, my number one was Wanda, just because I love her so much, and it's terrible how I feel. But I guess the next thing I have to say is like we're in the multiverse of madness, and it wasn't really that maddening. I mean,
I'm going to blame Kevin Feige for that because I think he didn't.
The main names of Seeley.
He didn't commit. They really wanted to go horror, and Kevin Feige pumped the brakes. I think it would have been a multiverse of madness if they actually went into the full horror.
I mean, it was like the duoverse of madness because we really only stayed in two multiverses,
Yes.
two universes. I mean, we traveled through a couple of them real fast. It's like, okay, but like, I don't know, and that probably ties into expectation and the way it was built up, and then also like you rely that onto the writing, like Cliff said earlier, the writing was not good. And imagine like if you didn't have the actors you had, and we had this script, and we rolled this movie out, it's gonna flop harder. We're lucky we had Elizabeth Olsen and Benedict, both Benedicts.
Benedicts, yes.
Everybody else we brought in to just bring the floor up, but like we never reached the ceiling, which is okay, I guess. But like that was not my number one, so it's like I'm not as passionate about it. But like that's it. There's nothing crazy that. And another thing is like this is tying into everything else that happened previously. That everyone's like kind of, and again, build up speculation. Everyone thought all these other things were going to cause this multiverse issue, which really it was just Wanda going after America, and she's the issue because she can travel through the multiverse. So like Strange's spells did nothing. What we know of right now with Loki, the end of Loki, like it allowed this stuff to happen, but like the branching timelines didn't like create a crazy incursion that allowed this to happen. And then at the same time, like the Hex, what she did during the Hex and all that stuff didn't cause anything to happen. So it's like, again, like I said, tying all into like the buildup maybe, but that's where my madness falls flat.
I get it.
I think that's a fair point. I think the name hyped it up a lot more. Like I thought we were gonna get a lot more cameos than we did because I thought we were gonna be. I know we went through a bunch of multiverses.
They said we were gonna have a bunch of cameos.
I think obviously we did go through a bunch of multiverses with like that 50-second scene, which I thought was really well done. But you're right, Colin. We stayed in 616, and I think it was 883, maybe 838. Those were the primary universes we stayed in, and like Wanda. So like, yeah, I thought we were gonna be
like battling
who's who of things. Yeah, I get you.
I mean, there's Secret Wars, hopefully.
There is.
My God.
Which
give it a rest, you internet people. We're like 10 years away from Secret Wars.
But I mean, like that's where you're gonna have your multiversal battles.
Yes.
Yeah.
If we have it.
If we have it, we better have Doctor Doom at that point. Like,
so yeah, we're gonna have to by that point. Fantastic Four's gonna come on.
I hope he doesn't come in Fantastic Four.
I really hope it's Cillian Murphy. I really want that to be him to be Doctor Doom. He was Scarecrow in Batman Begins.
Oh,
that'd be a good one.
That's sick. I didn't know who that was. That would be cool. All right, Cliff, wrap it up. Let's
my
go.
number one, yes, I get the final say. My number one was the Illuminati, and I have a couple hot takes. The first one, though, I will clear up something. I'm mad they left this out. Supposedly, the reason why Captain Marvel says we can take care of your little witch is because Doctor Strange in that universe figured out that she was the Scarlet Witch, and they had Professor X lobotomize her to just be a stay-at-home mom. They nerfed her and got rid of the what was going to happen. So I wish they showed it. It seems like I could have done with another half hour in this movie. They had so much more backup knowledge that they just cut, which reading what they were, we would have had more Rinthar, that Minotaur that they made so many toys for. We would have found out why that Scarlet Witch was like that, why Wanda was like that in 838. There are so many small things that I'll sit in the theater for 15 more minutes for just a little bit of character development. Go ahead, Colin.
So You're saying that their Doctor Strange said that Wanda is going to be the Scarlet Witch in their universe?
Yes, because she's the Scarlet Witch in every universe.
So I thought somebody came out and said that Scarlet Witch was somewhat of like the Scarlet Witch was somewhat of a Nexus being.
That's what they did say. So
Yeah,
that confused
that's the
me
thing.
that
And
there was multiple her.
And that's why
Yeah.
I think in every universe they somehow find a way for Wanda to not become the Scarlet Witch. So like in 838, Doctor Strange gets the Darkhold first, sees she would destroy the universe, and they take her out of the equation.
I think that's what was confusing is Wanda is not a Nexus character, but the Scarlet Witch
Right.
is.
Yeah,
Wanda is
absolutely.
that was my confusion because
Yes.
America Chavez is a Nexus character because there's only one of her. I think the way that I interpret it, I think we even talked about this. I guarantee you we talked about this on the podcast as like a top thing. Cliff is like, oh my god, there's only one Scarlet Witch, there's only one Wanda, there's a bunch of Doctor Strange, there's a bunch of Spider-Man, but there's only one Wanda. So that was obviously wrong. Confirmed wrong. It's the Scarlet Witch aspect of it.
And they, in like 838, took her out, but she obviously still has access to those powers if the Scarlet Witch dreamwalks. That's just a small thing that I'm like, just include it. Most Marvel movies used to be over 2 hours. Just give us the 20 minutes. So my hot takes, Illuminati scene was great. I loved the brutalness of Black Bolt's death. My big things from this, I really liked how they portrayed Captain Marvel, because that was really a big middle finger to all the people that were like, oh my god, Captain Marvel's so annoying, she's so cocky and everything. I'm like, this is the one. This was them saying, this is how you fanboys are acting what she's like. I really appreciated that. It was cool that Wanda took her powers and crushed her to death. That was really cool, because she tried to summon and it didn't work. I really don't need live action Captain Carter again. I thought I would. I thought I would have liked it. Don't really care. Keep her in animation or don't bring her back. I mean, I know we're probably getting a show that was kind of confirmed. Patrick Stewart should be done. I think that was a really good send-off for him. I don't want to see him as Professor X again, but I'm happy we saw him.
Professor X.
I would love McAvoy back. And my biggest hot take is Anson Mount was a better cameo than John Krasinski. I think his Black Bolt was a better cameo than John Krasinski as Reed Richards, because I felt with him, I looked at him like, that's Black Bolt. This is exactly who Black Bolt is, and like even doing like the hand motions, like he just captured it with the non-speaking acting, and also the I'm sorry, like everything just felt so real. And with John Krasinski as Reed Richards, I looked at this and it was just like complete fan service. I see Jim from The Office, and I haven't even watched The Office. So that was my hot take, is Black Bolt was the best, like, wow, this is a really cool cameo.
After this movie, there's only one person I want to play Reed Richards, and it's not John Krasinski, it's Rainn Wilson. That's the only one I'll accept at this point, and he'll probably be a better Reed Richards.
All right. Friends, this has been great. If I did the score correctly, I had 5 positive, Cliff had 4 positive, so that's 9. Colin had 5 negative, and I had 2 negatives, so that's 7. So positives beat the negatives 9-7. So Doctor Strange, hell of a movie. Great job, everybody. Good job.
People will have a lot worse things to say than I did.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm just saying.
But you have to realize, Colin, you still enjoyed the movie. Some people go in, like, you went in expecting it to be good. You still liked it. You have your gripes, which is, I mean, it's a movie.
It'll get a new grade on the grading system.
But with it, there are people that go into these Marvel movies now and look to be upset.
Oh, for sure.
You are not that. That's why this is fun, because you went in expecting it to be a great movie. You were hyped up and you were let down. There are people that go in that are looking. They go in and like, and they just look.
Yeah, they're called Star Wars fans.
That's true.
Wow.
They are.
If Thor: Love and Thunder is bad or makes me not like
that's gonna hurt you.
I will go on a hiatus. You're hearing it right now.
No, you're not.
I will not watch Marvel for a while, and I'll probably cry.
Oh, Colin, I'm gonna text Colin. You want to go see what's after the Marvels? 7:30 in Braintree. Yep. Okay, great. Okay, see you there. We'll get Chipotle beforehand.
No, we're not friends anymore.
I will say the cinematography alone for Thor makes it look like it's gonna be a beautiful movie.
I think that's a movie I don't want to see with you, Colin, because if that movie bombs, in your opinion, that's gonna hurt you. So this kid loves Thor. It's gonna kill this kid. If
the cinematography looks so good.
Gore looks sick.
Well, I mean, you've got a great actor who wants to continue to do Thor. He's come out and said it.
Yep.
And you've got a director who really like gets the source material and how to use the characters around him. Because we started in Ragnarok, and when he like filled it in with a little bit of the help with that game, like Thor, he and they're just meshing,
yes.
and their movies are hitting.
I will say this is something I think Sam Raimi gets Doctor Strange.
I agree.
Because I'm excluding the writing, because Sam Raimi had no point and no hand in the plot or the writing. It was weird, and that Doctor Strange is weird. I hope they fix the eye, but I think I wouldn't mind if Sam Raimi continuously gets Doctor Strange if the script improves. Because I think his weirdness and the editing he brings in with the more practical editing works for it. Just with how weird Doctor Strange is, but we need a better script for Doctor Strange 3. That is my final word on it.
All right. Any other final thoughts from our special guest, Colin? Colin, by the time this comes out, I hope you have joined us for a couple more episodes, because I really want to have you in for Obi-Wan, because I just want you to hear. I just want to hear you talk about Hayden Christensen and Anakin Slash.
Can I just say one thing that ties in with like Star Wars?
Sure.
Is Wanda Anakin?
No, because she didn't massacre a bunch of kids.
No, instead she just massacres.
She also has parents.
People across.
No, she doesn't.
Parents are killed.
Well, yeah, but she had two parents instead of being like born a virgin to the Force.
I don't know. She's got a lot of heartbreak and so much raw power, and she's fallen to the.
It's not a bad comparison. That's probably the best Marvel Star Wars comparison.
She's been tempted to the dark side, and she felt it for the power that she wanted to just save her loved ones or find a new world with her loved ones.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
All Anakin wanted was to save Padme.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, Cliff, where can they talk to you if they want to agree with all your hot, good takes about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness?
So unlike the old man on the bottom of the screen, Colin, I actually have social media. You can find me at CPRobinson81 on everything.
And you can find in the top left corner.
And you can find me. You can find me at CamRamos95. You can find the podcast at Stream the Mouse on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Streaming with the Mouse. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and our YouTube channel. Just search for Streaming with the Mouse podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, 5-star, subscribe, all the above to the different platforms that you do, so we can get more ears on this podcast. Send a raven to Colin if you want to say, yeah, Colin, you had some good points. Just send it. If you just put to Colin, it'll get there. I promise it'll get there.
It'll make it to me.
The carrier pigeon's on the way.
Yeah. But Colin, thanks for joining us. Cliff, obviously, thanks for having this. We'll hopefully have Colin on, hopefully before this episode airs again, because I want to hear his takes for Obi-Wan in the worst way. But thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a magical day. See y'all soon.
Bye, guys.